This guy named Alberto Martinez, who was a known drug dealer in New York City. He knew Puff was giving parties back in DC. And we was on 144th Street and Puff was in a white Cabriolet, one of those Volkswagens with the top off. And then Al asked D Ferg, like, yo, what's up with dude right there? You know who that is? He said, D Ferg like, yeah, that's my man Puff. He said, yeah, I know. He used to give parties in DC. And Al said out of his mouth, and I heard Al say he didn't know Puff was gonna blow up like that. But Al told D Ferg right then and there, he said, yo, that nigga he gonna blow up in the city here, giving them parties and everything. So then that's one of the reasons why D Ferg allowed him to be in the same game, based on what Al was telling us.
What point did you become, more involved with Puff? Was it from the
point
game?
when I came on? I was at the City College thing when those 9 people died. So I was doing parties for the different crews, which was part of the record industry. It was a guy called Tim Dog. He was an A&R for Uptown Records. And then he went to Island Records, Arista Records. He was the one who was the boss of, he was the manager and founder of the Lost Boys. So I was doing their parties, which was a part of a group called Butt Naked, Tim Dog Entertainment and Butt Naked. So Heavy D had gave his birthday party. And I have a picture where Puff and everybody was there at Heavy D's birthday party. And I did the front door because they was having issues at the front door. A lot of front doors was getting bum rushed and everything. So I got my team together and I used to have my team and 2 dogs, and that would stop a lot of people from bum rushing the doors and everything, trying to get in those events. So Puff was having a basketball game, him and Heavy D, at City College. And they asked me to do the security, so I had got 18 guys ready to do the security, and then Puff called me the day of, about 4 hours before, and said, we only need 8 of your guys. We got the Nation of Islam to do the security. And Nation of Islam did the security at the front door. I had the basketball court, and they had a riot at the front door. And if you look in the history, in December of '91, that's when like 9 kids had died at the basketball game that Puff was sponsoring. And that's when he got fired from Uptown Records. When he got fired from Uptown Records, he took Craig Mack and Biggie with him, and the dudes who was a part of Butt Naked Entertainment actually was getting indicted, and they was the one who was financing Bad Boy at the time. And they were getting indicted, and they ended up getting 9-16 to life sentences. And Puff went on taking Bad Boy for himself and getting a bigger deal with Clyde Davis. And he became, Bad Boy Entertainment. I didn't deal with Puff after the City College incident until he had a situation with Suge Knight in Atlanta.
That was your first time being more involved with Puff, or you know what I'm saying?
Well, like I said, I was doing the building with him. This was way before he became, it was called Daddy's House. So I was dealing with Puff before anybody. You understand what I'm saying?
Right,
before Wolf,
right.
all those guys. You got to realize this is back in 89, 90, 91, all the way up to City College. Wolf and them wasn't around at that time. Then I left them alone after they had that incident, and then we had an incident with Wolf. Wolf came back and got me and said, yo, he wanted me to be a part of the team. Probably the day after they had that situation with Suge Knight. And then I said, and I told him I didn't want to deal with Puff. He said, yo, bruh, just look out for him. You got your own contract. You ain't got to answer to nobody but him and me.
So Puff brings you on. You're part of the team.
Wolf brought me on. Wolf brings you on.
Okay. Wolf brings you on. You're part of the team now, man. And then Puffy's getting this bad boy thing off the ground. And, you know, what is your feelings about Bad Boy and Puff? And, you know, are you seeing like this is going to be huge?
But you got to realize I was around Puff only 2 days out the week, or when they had special occasions, or when they went out of town, something like that, because I worked a full-time job. So I had Puff on Saturdays and Sundays. And if they were at the club and I was off of work, they'll call me, yo, Gene, we at this club, can you make it? Yo, Gene, you like that? Because he had other bodyguards.
Well, Cassie filed the lawsuit, and I believe I've seen you speak on Kim Porter about stuff you've seen in the past. So at what point, I was saying, at what point did you start to see stuff?
The first incident that I found out about Puff and Kim Porter, I was called by Kirk Burrows and Paul. It was Kirk Burrows, I think. And I had to go over to, Puff didn't have no security. He was over St. Luke's Hospital. Him and Kim had got into an incident where she had took a corkscrew and cut his wrist, his right wrist. So I was asked to go over there, and right then I found out that they had an altercation. Kim looked like she was bruised up, and Puff had his wrist wrapped up in a t-shirt that was constantly, there was just blood everywhere. And come to find out, she had cut, I think probably an artery or something in his wrist with a corkscrew. So that's the first altercation I know of Kim and Puff having a certain situation.
Pretty crazy thing to go through at that point.
Well, that was that was him and his girl, and I didn't see the altercation. I only saw the aftermath of the altercation. And it seemed like she probably got the best of him that time. To me.
Okay, so now you go through this incident with Puff, and you kind of see the aftermath of everything, man. You know, what's your kind of general thoughts about everything that you go through at the time?
On that particular situation?
Yeah.
Well, you got to realize is that Puff was a part of our crew. And at the time, he was an underling. And he's not the Puff Daddy that y'all know and y'all see. You understand? He still was like a nobody trying to make it to me. You understand? So, in that point, he was still trying to be around the same gang, even though he had Big and Craig Mack for Bad Boy Records. They hadn't blown up yet. Craig Mack record was the one that was being played and hot. Biggie was not, Biggie at the time, the Notorious Big. So Puff wasn't even trying to even rap. He was just trying to promote, help the street team, and help everybody to blow Bad Boy up to what he wanted to be. So, he's not the same individual that y'all see now than he was back then. You gotta realize this was like in 91, and then I left him alone. Then after that Suge Knight thing happened, I came back. So this is like 94, 95. You understand what I'm saying? So he was just happy for somebody like me who had that status of those different crews to be his big unk to look out for him so nobody would do nothing to him. So now, if you're speaking about allegations with Kim and everything like that, a lot of that stuff started happening after, I think around the time Ms. Lopez and him was breaking up.
Oh, okay, so that's when you seen things kind of get worse, or you just started seeing things in general?
Well, I wouldn't say worse, because Puff never did things like that around me. He knew I didn't play that. He tried cursing his mother around me, and I checked him on that. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to realize he had other bodyguards, and he wouldn't do certain things around me because I'm a law enforcement officer. And I wasn't gonna let him do that. I did 27 years as a parole officer. And I'm like, at the time, our relationship, I was like his big uncle. So I'm not gonna let him do stupid stuff to get himself in trouble or me in trouble. So a lot of that stuff that is probably happened after I left, you understand, other than, you know, the swinging stuff that he did with Kim and other guys and everything.
Okay, talk to me about that a little bit.
I don't know what you want to know about that, Cam. You know, you're talking about this is your girl, this is your woman. She didn't even have Christian at the time, but you bringing other guys in with her, and then sometimes be just other girls and her, then other guys, then guys and girls, and they swinging, they doing their thing, bro. You know, I guess that's what the industry is. They like to swing like that. You know, the rock stars do it. I guess the rappers was doing it too.
Was that stuff surprising to you, or were you used to it being around
the
music business?
I'm not gonna have, Cam, that's surprising to anybody. You know, who gonna have their girl having sex with another man because you can have sex with their girl, or y'all switching and y'all, nah, man. That's some beyond me. But I know it happens.
Mark Curry has said in an interview that Puff broke Kim Porter's nose when they were fighting on a yacht. Did you ever see anything like that or hear about anything like that?
I never seen Puff put his hands on Kim like that, other than snatching her and grabbing her or something like that. But as far as I heard of the nose breaking. That was something that I heard of that.
I seen somewhere that, you know, he treated J-Lo different than he treated Cassie and Kim.
Well, I know that I never seen him with the play fight like he used to do with Kim, because that's how it would start off. He would start off with the play fight, hitting her with pillows and all like that. I guess that love tap, I don't know, I wasn't into that. I've never been into that with women. So he would start off like that, then it would always probably go up to something, a higher level, or where she wanted him to stop playing with her like that because he may have gotten a little too rough for her. But I never seen him do Ms. Lopez like that. And when J-Lo was around, I used to always just call her Ms. Lopez. He would do the flirtation and like have a lot of girls around and then try to play her like that, but you know, she would check that. And I put in my book one particular night where she was in the we was in the studio and a lot of girls was up there, and J-Lo got, you know, Ms. Lopez got mad and she went home and she put on some jeans and sneakers and put her hair back into a little bun and a ponytail, and she came back to the studio and Puff had a new song for her because she was heated and he got rid of all those girls that was in the studio. So he never tried to, you know, straight up, you know, talk to her crazy or anything around people. Never. I never even heard him raise his voice to her.
Okay. Totally different. Totally different than...
Totally different. But you got to realize with Kim them and most other people that I've seen him be around, they depended on him. Ms. Lopez didn't depend on him. You know, she had her own.
Okay, now, you know, Suge and Diddy had this huge, you know, feud going on. You know, there's this picture that recently came out of Suge playing with Diddy's son. You know, what'd you think when you seen that?
we had saw this picture, and it wasn't the ones that was recently released. It was a picture of Suge hugging Misa, and Misa having just